can't lose. We're both going to get fed. Right. And
the way we eat, it's going to be good.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Chuck joins us now on the phone lines. Chuck, hey, we appreciate your call. How are you? Well, I'm not bashing him. I just call him out when he does things that are wrong. Okay, all right, so I assume you're being...
being facetious.
Look, I assume... Chuck, hold on, time out here. You said you were a lib until yesterday? Is that what you said? You started off the one call by saying you're a lib until yesterday, but then you pointed out a bunch of... You basically pointed out a bunch of things that are extremely outrageous, right? That are never going to happen.
Warren is
It doesn't matter if Warren or Sanders end up being president of the United States. All that stuff you talked about is not going to become a reality. You think that's going to become a reality? All this, the stuff you just pointed out, Chuck, all those things are way... By the way, all the stuff you mentioned is way outrageous.
So what you're saying is they're lying? Are you saying they're lying?
I'm saying that they're getting pulled. I'm saying they're getting pulled back to the center. Anybody that ends up being the Democratic nominee is going to get pulled back to the center. It happens every single time, and it's going to happen again in 2020.
Bulldozer.
Who apologized for it?
Trump. He's being funny. He's right. Everything he just said.
All right, first of all, there's a lot of things that President Trump does that don't put America first, okay?
Like?
And with respect to the military, with respect to foreign policy, with respect to the way he handled that whole situation with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki. You got to be kidding me. That doesn't put America first. When you're taking a large dump on the intelligence community, when you're doing things that would not be considered American if it was a Democratic president that did it.
Let me tell you something.
Republicans come out and they blast them all the time.
When was the last time we had a natural disaster in the United States of America and we had foreign aid?
Well, we had a natural disaster in Puerto Rico. The president just got hammered on it, rightfully so.
And who
for how he
by the way, what he said about Puerto Rico was corruption. Who got arrested recently, or not long ago? The mayor of Puerto Rico, was it? I think.
Well, I'm not vouching for the local government
my
down in Puerto
question
Rico.
was, how many other countries come to our aid when we have a problem like this? Chuck, you know of any?
Problem like what, for natural disasters?
How many times if we have a storm or something? You see,
we're a superpower, so that the perception, I guess, around the world is that when there are things that happen in our country, we have the capacity to be able to handle them. So maybe other countries don't.
So I have a question for you.
Intervene.
I got a question.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you know we passed a budget item to give them out to spend money on? Thanks, Chuck, for the call.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Chuck.
To spend money on certain things, we have to spend that money, or it's against the law. How stupid is that?
Well, it shouldn't be against the law.
It's a rule that if we don't spend that money correctly, you can't just put it back in the general fund. How dumb is that?
Well, again, a loaded question, Pat. You're asking me something. I'm not someone that's going to condone.
That's our political system.
I'm not going to condone any type of wrongdoing or something that's
not
unlawful.
wrongdoing. That's not a wrongdoing. That's not what I said.
Well,
you and I open up a business.
Yes.
We allocate $5,000 for marketing. We only invest $3,500 and we kick ass. Under that premise, we save $1,500 or 30%. If the government allocates money in the budget the same way, they got to spend all that money. If they don't, that's against the law. It's against the rules. Does that make sense?
Well, it doesn't make sense in the context you're presenting because you're presenting as a private business, not spending.
It's the same thing with the
spending
government.
only $35 as opposed to $5,000.
What I'm trying to say is, when you set up a budget to spend money on certain things, you can't. You have to spend that money. You can't just put it back in the general fund. Hence, our debt keeps rising. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but it happens. I mean, we have politicians that couldn't run a business. They couldn't. They blow our tax dollars around the world. When we have American citizens here,
I get what you're saying here. You're going down a road of, we have, politicians aren't exactly savvy when it comes to,
they're savvy. They line their pockets pretty well.
But it's kind of going down a rabbit hole, though. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Anthony joins us here on the Vegas Take. Anthony, what's going down?
It was proven. Bribery was proven.
is involved. You can't do that.
So did Trump give them the money before? Did Trump give them the money that he allocated to them? Did we give them weapons?
He was caught.
No. He wasn't caught at the time. When he gave up that stuff, there was no speculation. It came after the fact. He wasn't caught about the way. No, but I want to hear about the bribery. I want to know how he bribed his way into that deal. I didn't catch that last week. I watched too much TV last week.
Because the insinuation is that they wouldn't have got the aid, or they wouldn't have got the aid at the appropriate time unless
the Democrats had anything.
Unless
before this impeachment hearing started, that money was allocated way before.
We're way over. By the way, guys. Like, we want to make things more complicated than they are, okay? And
abuse of power. I'm just saying that these are impeachable offenses: abuse of power, witness tampering. All these are impeachable offenses.
I want to know what witnesses did he tamper with last week?
I think when he talked to that woman last week, he tried to affect her testimony.
No, he didn't. She was in front of a camera. There's no way she could have seen the tweet, and yet it was the schmuck from California who brings that. I hate Schiff. I don't like the guy. I'm sorry. But Schiff decides to read a tweet. Come on. You're talking witness intimidation. Please. That's a baloney. Yeah, but that's crazy.
You're kind of like blaming the firefighter, Pat, for going to the fire and saying, there's a fire in this house. That's kind of what you're doing.
You're saying there's witness tampering. That didn't happen.
It doesn't matter how she finds out about it. She found out in real time that the President of the United States was tweeting negative stuff about her, was blasting her on Twitter.
So he blasted her. Who doesn't he blast on Twitter?
That's not an argument, though. Jeff because he does it to other people doesn't mean it's okay. Just because he goes and
he's stopping witnesses from testifying. He's denying Mulvaney.
Yeah. Why haven't Mick Mulvaney? Why hasn't people in his administration gone and actually testified to this committee?
What is it called? Executive privilege.
Yes. He doesn't have the right because they were already testifying under oath.
And I'll tell you something right now.
Yes.
You got on December 9th. A former, I can't think of it now. Bolton is letting the courts decide one way or the other where he should testify or not. One wants, one side does. If the court says do it, he's going to testify. What do you think is going to come out of that testimony?
Well, I think that he's going to testify to what his aide testified to. The woman that testified on Thursday. He's going to testify to the same thing because he was the one that directed her. And I think that he's going to tell the truth. I think these are honorable people. Bolton, these are honorable people. They are country first people. They are constitutional.
So I want to ask you. Can I ask you a question? So would you have preferred us to go to war?
With who, Ukraine or Russia?
No, Russia, Ukraine, Iran. When we had those Iranian crises,
those are steps way down the line. What are you talking about?
Let's go back to the Iranian. One of the reasons Bolton was no longer there is because of Iran. He wanted to go to battle, and Trump said we're not going to war. Well, you would think that we should have went to war?
I agree with Trump on that. No, believe me, I agree with Trump. But when you do impeachable things where it's other presidents have been impeached for the same thing, you have to follow the process on through. I think what president?
So wait a minute. Hold on. Which presidents got impeached for the same thing?
Right. I think Clinton got impeached for witness tampering.
No, he didn't.
No, he got impeached for lying to Congress, perjury. Right? And for perjury.
No, yeah. One of the articles was perjury, but it was also witness tampering. Read it.
Well, the articles of impeachment, the articles of impeachment was.
Come on, people, tell the truth. Right. Just work with me now. I'm it's all right there in history. Nixon, same thing, right? Same thing. Witness tampering, right, and not obeying Congress and stopping Congress.
He got impeached. Well, he didn't get impeached actually. Actually, Nixon resigned.
He resigned before he got impeached.
And it was over. It was over about I want to say about 90 minutes.
But he didn't get. He
ended
up not getting convicted in the Senate.
The only president that truly was impeached was Jackson or Johnson.
Same thing though. Same articles too. It's the same articles because they keep doing it. I think they're abusing power because they become president. But I think last month one thing happened, guys, that was really, really important because I deal with this stuff in my business. The Fed had to infused $53 billion into our economy last month. Because they said we were getting ready to ride over into the same recession we had in early 2000s. They had, you can look it up, they had to infuse, right? We just gave our farmers $19 billion just to keep them silent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, I don't think this man would have won again. I think because the way he works is as a business person, as a for-profit business person, but our government runs as non-for-profit. That's how our government runs. That's how our founding fathers wanted it to happen. And I agree with that. I think non-for-profit just works good for our country. But, $53 billion infused into our economy last month by the banks. because they were all getting ready to go under because of the bankruptcy.
Thanks, Anthony, for the phone call. I know we're up against break, but look, there's no question. I mean, people want to throw out the numbers. This whole impeachment inquiry, it's not about the economy. It's not about numbers. It's about the conduct of the president of the United States and whether or not it's deemed acceptable to the American people, and whether or not he should be impeached. I mean, if people want to talk about numbers, people want to talk about, this person, that person, it all comes down, it comes down to President Trump and his conduct. Is it acceptable? Okay. And is it not? And this is going to be something that we're going to be talking about years from now, right, Pat?
Oh.
Whether or not you're on the right or wrong side of history. People have their opinions,
Picture this,
but I'm telling you,
in
20 years
from now, I hope I'm
there's
still
no
walking.
way that you can look at this as something that's positive for the president going forward.
You just turned how old?
I'm 49 years old.
So I'm 58. So here's the deal. In 20 years from now, the question will be, how will we look back on the last 16 or 12 years, maybe 16? And that's going to be the interesting part of what's going to happen. And it's amazing because when you look back at Nixon's time, he garnered more respect under the Clinton administration for being a great dignitarian for international rules. I mean, it'll be wait and see. But in 20 years, we all may be laughing about this.
Spirited discussion. We appreciate all the phone calls as well as Pat's commentary, and we will of course be keeping up to date as to what goes down with this impeachment inquiry and much, much more. It's the Vegas Take coming your way on a Monday. I'm Chris Wynn, in for Brian Shapiro, along with Pat Casale, in for J.D. Sharp. On the other side, we're going to jump into some sports action as both UNLV football and UNLV basketball were in action over the weekend. Kind of a historic day down at Sam Boyd Stadium, the final UNLV football game at Sam Boyd. We're going to talk to two former Rebels as Caleb Herring and Nate Hawkins will join us here on the Vegas Take as we continue on your Monday, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Imagine a TV news network with facts, not fake news. There is one. Newsmax TV, America's fastest-growing news channel with an incredible lineup. On Monday nights, we have Mike Huckabee's show. Tuesday, Alan Dershowitz is on. Wednesday, Michelle Malkin. And every Thursday, see Bill O'Reilly. So don't miss Newsmax TV. Now on DirecTV, Xfinity, Dish, Spectrum, Cox, Optimum, Fios, Uverse, Suddenlink, and more. Just check your channel guide. Millions are watching Newsmax because it's real news for real people.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Your home for Sean Hannity, KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
I'm Mike Moss. The military dog involved in the successful campaign to take out the leader of ISIS visited the White House today.
Nobody's going to mess with Conan. I asked one question. I said, so what chance with Conan? I got to see how fast Conan can move. I said, what chance would a strong man have? Really strong, tough fighter. What chance would this person have against Conan without the guns? What chance? And I guess the answer pretty much was none.
Conan is believed to have been sent down a tunnel after it was feared that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was wearing a suicide vest. Baghdadi was indeed wearing it and detonated it in the tunnel, killing himself and 3 of his children. The dog was wounded but has fully recovered. President offered a little support today when asked about his acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney.
Do you have confidence in Mick Mulvaney, Mr. President?
Yes, I do. Yes, of course.
Mulvaney is among a list of administration figures who've been blocked from testifying before the House impeachment inquiry. A judge says sometime today she will issue a ruling as to whether former White House counsel Don McGahn must answer a congressional subpoena, a decision that could have an impact on many others. The Navy Secretary has resigned, and Defense Secretary Esper says the President has ordered that the Navy SEAL status of Ellie Gallagher not be withdrawn, even though Gallagher has been found guilty of a battlefield crime. More from correspondent Barbara Starr at the Pentagon.
What Esper is now saying is Gallagher needs to get out of the Navy. That it will happen, we believe, on November 30th, and that the entire department needs to move on.
eBay is selling its StubHub ticketing business to Viagogo, a European rival for a price tag of $4 billion. On Wall Street, the Dow up 134 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's a fit for you. MediShare, healthcare you can believe in.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet and our best price ever. 99 cents plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pod sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
The west side crash remains on the 215 Western Beltway southbound Tropicana on-ramp, and unfortunately Lake Mead Boulevard still shut down east and westbound. They're around Nellis. You can hop over to Washington, Cary, or even Owens as your alternates. Now on a way lighter note, Las Vegas Boulevard is now reopened on both sides around at Fashion Show. In-N-Out Burger Fresh Fact, nothing is frozen. Everything is delivered fresh to every restaurant, beef, buns, and produce, because fresh is what it's all about. I'm Bradley J. in the KDON Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Raymond Denon, Vice President of Optima Tax Relief. If you're in debt to the IRS, there's a lot you need to know. Starting with rule number 1, don't mess with the IRS. They can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, even take your home or business. That's all true. But it's also true that there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. It's one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, even tens of thousands. Nobody knows this program like us, the experts at Optima Tax Relief. We have an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, and we've resolved over $500 million in tax debt for our clients. We'll stand between you and the IRS and fight to get you the best deal possible. Don't mess with the IRS. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima for a free consultation.
Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
720 on the AM, 101.5 FM. Yeah, now on FM. The only FM news talk station in Las Vegas. KDON. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Coming back at you on the Vegas Take, Chris Wynn, Pat Casal in for Brian Shapiro and J.D. Sharp, live 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. As we get set for the 11 o'clock hour here, it's time to jump in and talk a little local action when it comes to the gridiron, Pat. And, of course, it's been a lot of years, right, that it's been going on out there at Sam Boyd Stadium, all kinds of action from UNLV football to bowl games, and it's starting to wind down.
Playoffs.
It's almost over, and it's what better person and people to have on than former UNLV Rebel football players. And, of course, I'm talking about Caleb Herring. It seems like just yesterday, Pat, he was out there slinging it and beating down teams like, those Central Michigan Chippewas and the likes. And Caleb Herring joins us now here on the Vegas Take on the phone line. He is the color commentator, of course, for UNLV football. Caleb, we appreciate the time. How are you?
Good morning.
I'm good, my friend. How you doing? Good morning, guys.
We're doing great. UNLV coming off a win on Saturday as they get the victory 38-35 over the Spartans of San Jose State, get the late touchdown. Of course, the late pick also from Colo as they're able to ice the victory in the final home game out there at Sam Boyd Stadium. But, of course, there's a lot of focus, as there should be, on the history out there, and a lot of former players got a chance to head out there and enjoy the experience probably for the final time for UNLV out there. And I got to believe for you, it was a special experience, no doubt.
Absolutely. All the guys that came back together, they had about 200 to 250 alumni from previous teams, all the way back to the first team to ever play for the Rebels. So they representatives from each decade of UNLV football in the past were represented out there on the field for the coin toss. So, of course, it was really fun to get all the guys back together and start reminiscing on the good old days and the talk obviously started about strapping back up eventually and getting out there again. But it was a cool weekend, actually. It started on Friday night where we all got together and got to tour the new Fertitta complex, which was bittersweet for some of us because we knew what we had for facilities and kind of envious of the new guys coming in, but again, supportive of the program and the direction it's headed. And it's really cool for Desiree and for Steve Stallworth, who actually got us all together and sent out the mass email to get this thing rolling, to have us all come back and kind of make us feel a part of this program again and where the program's headed. So seeing that peek into the future, and then, like you said, on Saturday, all of us out there for the coin toss on the field, wearing Letterman jackets and rooting on the guys as they pulled off a really good win, a fitting way to close the doors of Sam Boyd for Rebel football because it was a show. It was a nail biter, and of course it was a win. So a good way to end the historic run at Sam Boyd Stadium.
Caleb, this is Pat Casale. When I look at the history of the UNLV football, and the last decade has been very, very ups and downs, been very difficult. How excited are you with the new stadium, the new digs? I mean, the weight room looks phenomenal. I mean, what do you think is going to happen, and what do you think the turn is going to be?
Well, it's a definite turn of a corner for a program, and like you said, the ups and downs have been there throughout the last decade or so. More down than up, unfortunately, but usually in a program that's struggling the way that the Rebels have, you don't get a massive turnaround as far as facility upgrades or stadium upgrade the way that the Rebels did. And I'd like to think that Tony Sanchez, of course, had a lot to do with that and his ability to galvanize the community and get the support he needed as far as the funding for stuff like this. But it excites me. I think where the program's headed, I think we've been behind the curve as far as competing with conference and national facilities, and that's a big part of the recruiting business these days. But we've been behind that curve for such a long time, and I think finally getting around it and getting this thing done as far as the complex and getting this new stadium that's going to be the best in the country. I mean, no college team is going to be able to say that they're playing in the type of facilities or have the type of practice facilities that the Rebels are going to have, and it's the first time in the history of the program really that can be said. And so I think that's a definite advantage going forward in the future. Of course, the wins and losses are still to be determined, and you got to roll the ball out there on Saturdays and figure those things out. I know this offseason is going to be full of some decisions to be made as far as the direction of the program going in the future as far as personnel. But the facilities that we now have and that we will have in 2020 are a bright spot, and should lead to some future success as far as program building.
What about the players? Any word on the players that may be coming in here one way or the other, or are they still waiting on wait and see to see who the coach is going to be?
Well, there's actually a few players that have come out and said it. I mean, it's no secret these days with social media and how rumors fly about the potential of a coaching change with Tony obviously being on a bit of a hot seat here. He's out on the recruiting trail, still recruiting, and he's getting some guys to commit. Notably, some from Sarah High School in California have come out and said, the quarterback there said basically, we understand that Coach Sanchez may not be back, and we would love to play for him, but his commitment is to the Rebel program. And there's been a number of guys that have come out and said that along the recruiting trail, as far as those guys that are coming in from high school and from junior college as well. I'm still excited about coming to the program, even with the question mark over if Coach Sanchez will be their coach next season. So that speaks well, again, I think, in my personal opinion, to having these facilities done. And I think it takes the pressure off of who the coach is going to be and puts it a little bit more on where you're going to be playing and what you're going to be playing for. So some of the guys that have committed have already come out and said that they're still committed to UNLV regardless of the coaching situation next year. And, there's a great group of guys that are returning as well that are on the roster this year. I mean, of course, Kenny Noblat, who's coming on late in the season, playing some good football and learning and growing at the quarterback position. He's going to be around for a long time as a Rebel. Randall Grimes, who just transferred over, he's a big player, a big playmaker at the receiving spot. Charles Williams, of course, will be back. He's a junior. He'll be back for his senior campaign. Guys like Tylee Collins and Makai Stevenson at the receiver spot who didn't have mega years because of some of the transition that was going on offensively. But those guys will be back, and they're already a part of the program. So hopefully those pieces stay in place, and the pieces that are getting picked up along the recruiting trail are also staying in place. Again, we don't know for sure what's going to happen with Coach Sanchez, and that is a decision that has to be made going into this offseason. But it does look bright for the future as far as the players that have decided to come in the future and those that we do have on the roster right now that will be returning next season.
And look, you yourself, Caleb and Pat, you just addressed the monstrous elephant that is in the room. And, of course, that is the future of Tony Sanchez as the head coach at UNLV. And, look, I think a lot of us that saw this hiring, back 5 years ago, and we thought to ourselves, we look at it as an experiment, really, because let's be honest about it. It's not something that is normally done where you take somebody out of the high school ranks and you plunk them into a Division I college football program. So after observing what has transpired over the past 5 years with Tony Sanchez, what do you think would be the motivation or the rationale to retain Tony Sanchez as head coach at UNLV?
Well, of course, there's arguments for both sides. But I think if my personal opinion about the matter is I think what UNLV needs from a coaching standpoint is more consistency. And I think we've shuffled the deck on coaches before and basically pushing the reset button on the program is I don't think the answer for a program like UNLV where you don't have the support, I guess, of the community, or you're not dealing with the cream of the crop as far as the athletes that you're getting at this point right now. Of course, you want to get there. But I think the arguments are that Tony has done something that the past regimes, every of the last 4 coaches that have come to the Rebel program and left, come and gone, they've all said the same thing upon leaving, that the facilities that they have, it's hard to work uphill and to compete as far as recruiting and getting out on the trail and getting the guys to come to the program that you want when you don't have things like the facilities in place or the community support in place from their perspective. And we all understand that the community does support the program, but, of course, get impatient with the wins not being there. But Tony's been able to do something even without the wins, and he's had some successful seasons, not a bowl appearance, but some 5-win seasons along the way, outside of this last season where he steadily improved in the win column. But he's done something even without the wins that no coach has ever been able to do for the program, and that's really catapult the program ahead of the rest of the conference with that Fertitta complex. And I don't think Tony I think Tony is the only person that was hired that could have gotten that done because of what he was to the community and his time at Bishop Gorman and his relationships with the community, that he was able to get that done. And I think that's to his credit, a part of it. And of course, there was skepticism about his, the high school coach making the transition straight to the head coach in the college football team, of course, met with some skepticism. But what he was able to do, and coaching is more than just X's and O's on the field. It's especially the head coach spot. It's more than that. It's about being able to be kind of an administrator and bridge the gap between the program and the community and administration and so on and so forth. There's so much that you have to be able to do. And he's, I think, a good fit as a head coach. And I think, especially for UNLV, I don't know if it worked anywhere else but UNLV, but because of who he was in his community, I think he was right on time. So the argument for him going forward to remain, I think, is that you're already going through enough transition. And I think he got this building done, this Fertitta complex, and he should be able to see the fruits of it. Also, transitioning into a new stadium, I think it's a little bit easier to make that transition with somebody already in-house. You don't want to add to transition by swapping out a wholesale coaching change because, of course, with a head coach comes new coordinators, new staff, all that stuff to go along with it. So I think just to limit the transition for another year, that would be my argument for. Of course, the argument against is the wins and losses weren't there, and obviously you take a step back in the win column this season with not even getting to 5 wins this year. That's out the window now with only 1 game left to play. So there's a lot of reasons that can go back and forth, and it's really just going to be a decision that the program has to be confident in where they're going to go moving forward. If the decision is to go without Tony, I think he's man enough to understand that he understands the business as well as anybody. And talking to him in the conversation we had, he understands it. Of course, he would like to stay, but he understands it. And if the program has an idea of where they want to go moving forward, and a concrete answer to what the program will look like absent Tony Sanchez, then I think you pull the trigger and you go after that. But I think there's a lot of uncertainty around that you don't want to create undue turmoil unless you have a clear-cut path on where you want to go in the future as a program.
Caleb Herron joining us, color commentator and former UNLV quarterback. We also have another outstanding former Rebel on the phone lines. He was the pride of Booker T. Washington High School with UNLV back in the late 60s, early 70s. He is Nate Hawkins joining us now on the phone line. Nate, we appreciate your time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Nate, of course, we were talking with Caleb about his experiences this past weekend being out at Sam Boyd as it's the end of an era from a stadium standpoint with UNLV football. Wanted to get your take on your experiences over the weekend, getting a chance to head out there and jump on the field and see the Rebels for the final time out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was fantastic because they had a bunch of players coming back, past players, and they made us all honorary coin toss. And just being with some of the fellows that I played with and fellows that come through the university and played at Sam Boyd, man, that was fantastic.
What do you think of the new facilities? Have you had a chance to, when you did the walkthrough, what did you think?
The fertility center, man, I could believe it. When I was there, we had one university gym. I can't even count all the university gyms they had now. State of the art, man, it's something. I believe it's really going to be good for recruiting for UNLV.
So, Nate, when you think about Sam Boyd Stadium and playing games out there, can you pinpoint? Was there one moment, one moment where you had a chance and where you'll always remember as far as your playing days at UNLV out there?
Man, I got plenty of memories. I know about 2 or 3 of them that it comes to mind right away, though.
Mm-hmm.
But like the first one was like we played North Dakota. It was ranked. North Dakota was ranked, and the first play of the game, we went 80 yards on the pass, and I was fortunate to be on the receiving end of that. And I also remember I know we lost the Rebel the first game, but the next game we played New Mexico and Holland, and that was a shootout. And there I scored 4 touchdowns. So I got plenty of fun memories. I scored 4 receiving touchdowns, which is still a record. I think Devontae tied it, but 42 years it had been stayed as a record there.
Did you play with Mike Thomas? Did you play with Mike Thomas when you were there?
Oh, no. I played from 68 to 71.
Okay, so Mike came after you.
Yeah. So, Nate, Caleb gave his perspective. He comes from, a younger generation of UNLV football players, but I want to get your thoughts also on moving into this brand new, spectacular stadium, just off the Strip, on the Las Vegas Strip. I can imagine yourself as someone who, went to college here in Las Vegas back then, and now seeing what the program is about to embark on, where you're going into this, beautiful, stadium where they're actually sharing it with an NFL team. That has got to be something that's kind of mind-jarring, I'm sure, for a lot of people that remember where this program once was and now where it's about to head to.
Yeah, it's going to be, 50 years later.
Mm-hmm,
so,
yeah.
And I imagine it's about time, but it's that's definitely a plus being able to play in the fabulous city of Las Vegas, and you at your college team, and the Raiders, everybody looking forward to the Raiders being now. So I think UNLV, they take them out the desert and put them in a state-of-the-art new stadium. It can't be nothing but for a plus,
Oh, no doubt, right? And look, there's been a lot of programs. And Caleb, I want to get your take on this too, because look, there's been a lot of programs that have been able to ascend as programs. I always bring up, when I'm talking about UNLV, I always bring up UCF, because UCF, again, a mid-level program, a lot of players and teams that nobody even paid attention to up until like the 2000s. And then Caleb, all of a sudden, they make the move. They get a brand new stadium on campus. The game day experience is better, and there's almost this transformation of the program. And as someone like myself who wants to look at this UNLV football program, Caleb, from a glass half full perspective, I got to believe that this is only going to be something that's going to be positive for this UNLV football program moving forward.
That's right. UCF is a great example of what happens. I think for whatever reason in college sports, a lot of people tend to think of it backwards. I think they want the wins and the success to come, but aren't willing, and then want to get the investment after. And once the wins are there, then they'll invest their time or their effort or their energy or money even into a program. But you look at, and UCF being a prime example, there's other programs as well where, for whatever reason, they got it in their minds that they're going to invest and feed into the program. And UCF did that, and then later on, we're talking about undefeated teams, and it's a little bit down the road, but once you make that investment, it comes and you get a return on that investment tenfold, and the wins may start to come during the future. And that's still a part of the process to work on. But I think this is the first time you can look since the inception of the program, where you say they're ahead, they're where they're supposed to be as far as investing and giving the tools necessary to get recruiting done, to get guys excited about the program, to get the community excited about coming out to games. Like, I imagine that next year when they open the doors to Allegiant for the first time on that Saturday, that first Saturday of the season, I imagine there's going to be a huge crowd just for the simple fact that there's this new shiny toy in town. And you see what happens, like with Vegas Golden Knights. If you come out and support and the team starts to win, the ball gets rolling and the energy behind the program gets going. And that's a part of the college experience that I think guys are looking for when they're coming out of high school. These 4- and 5-star recruits, they're looking for that big-time experience, that big stage where everybody wants to watch them. And for the first time, I think we have created that atmosphere where the spotlight's on, where, like Nate said, pulling them out of the desert, putting them right in prime time on the Strip.
Mm-hmm.
This is the show. This is the show we want you to watch when you come to Vegas. And it's the college football team that's been here for 50 years, but for whatever reason has been hidden away and tucked away. And I can't say enough, and I know it sounds it, but I applaud Tony for doing it. He embraced the Strip when he first came on, embraced the showgirls coming and photo shoots and the Jabberwockies even.
And the fancy new field out there. Yeah.
Absolutely. The roulette table field and those kind of things that were kind of nobody ever did with UNLV. And that's just, it was a kind of a shame that big marketing and advertising tool was wasted in a sense. And now with the things that have happened and the complex and the stadium, it's going to be plopped right in the middle of Las Vegas, and it's only going to do great things for the program.
Caleb, I'll say this. If you look at Nike, what it did for Oregon became a power in football. I mean, in baseball, they're all this, but football specifically, we have those facilities. The one thing I'll give Tony credit for is we are consistently competitive. Whereas prior to him, we were getting our butts trashed week in and week out. When we win a couple of games. He has been competitive. I mean, there's been some games this year, like the San Diego State, that missed field goal. I mean, that was a heartbreaker. I got to say this. I would give Sanchez the other year, but especially with the new facilities, and he's out recruiting, so he's doing his job where a lot of coaches are like, they know they're done, they back away. So I think that's a positive. Right. But if we can get the same response that they did in Oregon with that facility, Chris, it's going to be good times here in UNLV.
Yeah, I could see it. And Nate, I want to get your take. Do you think Tony Sanchez has earned the right, and do you think he's going to end up coming back as the head coach with UNLV football next season?
Yeah, I agree with Caleb on that. I think he was instrumental in the fertility center and the program, and they have some good stats. I know he's not putting up the W's like everybody wants, but I would like to see his vision come through, at least, going to the new stadium.
Nate Hawkins.
I'll just add this real quick. I'm sorry, guys, but I'll just add this real quick, too. Something that it has been talked about a lot this season, but a catastrophic for the team this year was the absence of Coach Cotton, who nobody could have foreseen his health needs coming up. He's been the offensive coordinator with Tony since he's been at UNLV. That his health and him not being present with the team is something I think really affected the outcome of the season and the wins and losses this year. The offensive production, of course, this year took a big dip, and I think it was mainly because missing its offensive coordinator and Coach Cotton, who's doing better, with all thanks, and of course that his health was a priority. But that's something I think, looking back at the season, the wins and losses may have been a little bit of a different story with the way the defense played this season if the offense was performing at its best all season long. So, but yeah, I think Tony and the staff have been on the right track and been doing the right things by the program, and I think it'd be good to see them come back for another year.
Former UNLV Rebels, Nate Hawkins, as well as Caleb Herring, joining us here on the Vegas Take, as it's the end of an era, Pat, as Sam Boyd Stadium. There'll be no more UNLV football played in that stadium. Of course, the bowl game coming up this year, but after that, that's all she wrote, and it's the beginning of the new shiny new Allegiant Stadium era for UNLV football. So Caleb and Nate, you guys, we appreciate very much you spending some time on a Monday. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Same to you.
All right, guys, take care.
Have a great holiday.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Caleb. Happy Thanksgiving to both you guys. Yes, it's the Vegas Take coming away live here on a Monday. I'm Chris Wynn, along with Pat Casale, joining you here on the Vegas Take. We've got a new band, a Vegas band, coming in studio live. We're gonna get a chance to talk to them. But you know what else they want to talk about, Pat? They want to talk some UNLV basketball, because we did have a UNLV hoops game over the weekend.
We did?
Didn't exactly go that well. So we're going to talk some UNLV hoops as well as talk about their show coming up next weekend as we continue. Chris Wynn, Pat Casale here, live. It's coming your way on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, it's Sam.
Hey, it's Ash, and we're Sam and Ash, your personal injury attorneys.
If you've been injured in an accident, don't rely on your insurance agent to help you.
Your agent and claims adjuster are not going to get you the treatment or compensation that you deserve for your injuries.
That's what we do. We craft an effective plan of action to get you the help you need.
Also, you deserve to be heard, and most of all, you deserve what's right.
So, give us a call 24/7 at 1-800-304-2000 or visit samandash.com. Sam and Ash.
What's right?
People get excited. I mean, crazy excited about Black Friday sales. They love saving money. Hi, I'm Dave Mizrahi, owner of Best Mattress, and I'm about to save you a ton of it at our Black Friday sale, our biggest and best sale of the year. Get a free adjustable base when you buy a queen mattress for $5.99 or more. Plus, we've got all the best brands: Serta, Sealy, Beautyrest, Stearns & Foster, and Tempur-Pedic, and up to 72 months no-interest financing. Best Mattress. Sleep easy, friends. See store for details.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, what if phenomenal careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair? If being the captain of the robotics team means just as much on a college application as being captain of the football team. And if knowing the quadratic formula is every bit as important as knowing the right people. Well, the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. More opportunities, better pay. And the road to these great jobs starts as early as middle school. So if you're a student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids. Because the job you'll get in the future may very well depend on what you do today. A public service message from America's Navy.
Whoa! There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
720 on the AM, 101.5 FM. Yeah, now on FM. The only FM news talk station in Las Vegas. KDON.
The impeachment process is advancing, even though most members of Congress are home for the holiday week. Correspondent Phil Mattingly is on Capitol Hill.
Working through that report, the House Intelligence Committee is planning to produce to send over to the Judiciary Committee to really kind of kickstart the actual impeachment and articles of impeachment process into gear.
A federal judge plans to make the first major court ruling in the fight between the House and the White House over impeachment witnesses. The judge says she'll decide by the close of business today whether former White House counsel Don McGahn must testify about President Trump before Congress. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper says the president ordered him to allow a controversial naval SEAL accused of war crimes to keep his status in the elite service despite resistance from Navy leaders. On Wall Street, stocks are up strong today, the Dow up currently about 140 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
Traffic sponsored by Dr. Patient Unity. Some volume remains on the 215 Southern Beltway around Las Vegas Boulevard and the I-15. Lake Mead Boulevard is shut down east and westbound at Nellis with a serious wreck investigation underway. Washington, Cary, Owens, all good alternates around it. Also watch for a problem on Rainbow in Washington, then Flamingo eastbound near Eastern. As surprise medical bills bankrupt Americans, Jackie Rosen demands insurance companies pay their fair share. And opposing their rate-setting proposal to cover less of your medical care, tell Jackie Rosen thank you and keep fighting. I'm Bradley J. in the KDON Traffic Center.
Selling your home doesn't have to be filled with drama or having to pay hidden fees.
Hey, your friend Sean Hannity here to tell you, as an active investor, I firmly believe in working with the smartest local agents who sell homes in high volume. Prepare your home to create the most demand when it does go on the market to sell for the highest price. And don't fill your life with drama while you wait for your home to sell. When I want to know what's happening, there's only one agent I call. Rick and Terry Brinkus of Keller Williams Realty, the marketplace. Now, Rick and Terry Brinkus have averaged over 250 sales per year, get this, for 20 straight years. Now, Rick and Terry allows you to establish a deadline and a price acceptable to you. So if that deadline passes and your home is not sold, they will have it bought for cash. Don't believe the myth that all agents market the same way. So contact the agent I personally trust. And you can call them at 702-456-5959 or just go online at thebrinkusteam.com. That's thebrinkusteam.com.
It's time for some straight talk. You've got real work to do, but everyone's sucking up the free Wi-Fi faster than a Mocha Choco double frap on ice. So be your own hotspot. Now with Straight Talk Wireless, get 10 gigs of hotspot data with the Ultimate Unlimited plan. Just $55 a month on America's best 4G LTE networks. You don't have to find a hotspot. You are the hotspot. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart.
Compatible device and SIM required. Excludes the 2-line plan. See straighttalk.com.
Does your child love math? Do they just love math so much that once they finish their homework, they want to work on extra math problems just for fun? Anyone? If you answered no, then you are not alone. While your child may not think math is important for their future, we know better. That's because Infinity the Math Institute offers the best math tutors in Las Vegas, produces the best results at the best prices for kids of all ages. Infinity the Math Institute does it all. Does your child need prep for the SATs? Right now, SAT preparation classes in November are just $15. Fractions, algebra, geometry, decimals, you name it. Plus, Infinity offers homeschool programs, free seminars for parents and students. And whether your child is transitioning from elementary school to middle school to high school, or preparing for college, Infinity can help. Classes are filling up. Call us now to find out more. 702-768-1777. That's 768-1777. You want the best results for your child? One call to Infinity can have a huge impact on your child's future. Call now. 768-1777. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you.
Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
Oh, wow.
Getting your holiday week started right. Thanksgiving on the horizon. It is the Vegas Take. I'm Chris Winnan for Brian Shapiro, along with Pat Casale here.
That's me.
On your Monday. As we get you set, of course, the first day going into the week, we had all the weekend activity going on. And we had some UNLV basketball over the weekend as the Rebels were at home against the likes of SMU this weekend. And didn't exactly go ideally. But here live in studio, we're very happy to have our guest. We've got Frank Carbone, a longtime UNLV alum, is all wired in when it comes to UNLV basketball. He joins us. Also, Rasar joins us from the Lique, a local artist, and also Cam Calloway joins us live in studio. They have a show coming up on Saturday, 8 o'clock downtown. Rasar Bunkhouse Birthday Bash 5 is going down. So we're going to talk to both of them and get their details about not only their music, but about the show coming up this weekend. But want to jump into the UNLV game because didn't exactly go as planned. As the Rebels, look, they start off the season against a couple of teams, not exactly top-tier competition.
Cupcakes.
Get some W's, okay? And then going on a home game against the likes of a Big 12 team in Kansas State, where they come up on the losing end of that game, where they were smack dab in the middle of that one, had a chance for the win. Of course, go on the road, loss at Cal, loss at UCLA. The loss at UCLA, not unexpected, but they were very much in that Cal game and could have won the Cal game as well, too. So, Frank, got to get your take on this because matchup against SMU. Now, look, this isn't the Larry Brown SMU teams of the very recent years where they're basically nationally ranked and one of the better teams in the AAC. But it wasn't a pushover SMU team. But at the same time, not the result we expected from T.J. Altenberger and his guys in this matchup against the Mustangs this past weekend.
No, understand fully. Understand fully. But SMU is a good team. I will predict they're a tournament team.
You think so? Really? Wow.
Yeah, I do. I think they're in the tournament. Maybe not, obviously. They might be, a 10th block there, but I thought they were good. I thought they had like 4 guys that could shoot. Very, very athletic team too. So besides that, we play. I thought actually we played one of our best games of the year, and I'll tell you why. They had 8 turnovers the first half. I don't know if you knew this. In fact, I went to breakfast with DJ, who's redshirting yesterday, and we talked about this, and he was surprised too. Second half, they had no turnovers. They played pretty well. So they're interesting. Now, how's this team going to end up this year? I think they're going to be better than people think. The hardest games they're going to have left are Cincy, and we'll see. I don't know how good Cincy is this year, Cincinnati. And then, of course, probably San Diego State. I think those will be tough games.
Yeah. They seem like they lack stamina. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but they play pretty well early, and they just seem to run out of gas. You think that's part of the where they're going? I mean, learning the system?
I think learning the system. It's a totally different system. What I do like about TJ, he's a very cerebral coach. Yeah. He's got numbers figured out and stuff. So I think, and of course, none of these guys are really his. I mean, he's kind of put a ragtag group. And Menzies had the same issue too. So like I said, but you know what I do like about them? They play hard. I like the fact they play hard. They're very fluid. A lot of times under Menzies, people be standing around waiting for the ball to come to them. These guys move and stuff better defensively. Overall, I'd say things are a lot better. Now, would it have been nice if we could have kept one more player that left? Boy, that would have helped a lot. One really good shooter. And of course, next year is going to be interesting. I mean, he brings in like seven new people.
And of course, you mentioned DJ, who's going to be the big key. Look, there's no question next year is going to be a year that they should be on the rise, right? With that backcourt that they're possibly going to have. But let's be honest about it. When it comes to UNLV basketball, and when you're paying TJ the money you're paying him, he's the highest paid coach in the Mountain West.
Understand.
The expectations immediately come with that.
Oh,
and
I know.
So he's already becoming under scrutiny. And look, we talked about the SMU game, but that Texas State game, Frank, I'd like to get your impact. Because look, in the second half there, you talked about TJ as a tactician, that he was getting a lot of criticism, rightly so, for not making adjustments in that second half, and they just couldn't score. I mean, this is supposed to be TJ's bread and butter. Is this team filling it up and going? Look, they're not going to be the 1990 running Rebels, but they were supposed to be more of a running Rebel team, right? A team that's going to get out there, push the tempo, and that necessarily hasn't transpired. And to your point that you made before we came on the air, he doesn't necessarily have the pieces to do that, but still, he's getting rightfully criticized, in my opinion, for some missteps here early on in the season.
Criticism's okay. I mean, that's part of the game. Okay, no coach goes without that. I mean, I don't care how great you are. Hell, Krzyzewski gets criticized. Okay, for not being a great game day coach, and that's fine. That's part of what you have to deal with when you're a coach. You get paid the big dollars, you get the criticisms. I do think they'll get better. Like I said, I think one thing he's experimenting, and then I want you to get on with Rasar and those guys here too, because that's important to me. I think that he's starting to experiment. He brought in the kid from Ukraine, played him a lot more. I think he's trying to look, because right now his other big problem is he's just not deep. He goes about 6 deep. If he can get 2 or 3 other guys a lot more involved, then maybe they make a run here. Maybe, as they get into the conference arena, they get better, and we'll see what happens.
That would be my question. First of all, as a coach, mixing and matching, find that right chemistry. How do you think they'll do in conference? I mean, I think if they can fare well in conference, maybe be 2 or 3 games, 2 games over 500 or 4 games over 500, and do well in the tournament, maybe get past the first 2 rounds. I mean, can you see that happening?
Yeah, no, I could. I mean, hey, a lot of it's luck. Let's be honest with you. You go out and you shoot, 60% in a couple games here in a row. The other team shoots 40. You're gonna beat the Lakers if you shoot like that. Okay, so I think we'll see. Like I said, I'm constantly evaluating, looking at things. I see certain things I really like. Again, he needs to get to a level where he's got like at least 8 guys he can count on, and right now it's more like 6. So we'll see. We'll go from there.
It's funny. Frank brings up the Lakers as we have Rasar from the Lique and also solo artist Cam Calloway joining us here live in studio. Cam, Lakers, got to throw it at you. This is a team that everybody's talking about in the NBA, and rightfully so. Look, that whole, rivalry in LA is going to be heated up big time this year with both the Clippers and the Lakers, obviously, with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George now playing for the Clips. And, of course, your Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The acquisition of Davis, as a Laker fan, you had to be pumped up about that.
It's huge, man. I think I haven't been excited to watch Lakers basketball like this since Kobe and Shaq were together. I think AD and LeBron are probably one of the best duos in the NBA history. LeBron being able to penetrate and then having a player like AD be a great post player, but also a great shooter. The threat that they have combined with everybody, like the pieces around like Danny Green and Rondo is still kind of getting the feel for things, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
And the kid from Flint, Michigan, my hometown where I was born, Kyle Kuzma is a guy too that's going to be is going to be a key cog for that team.
Yeah.
And they're winning games on the road they're winning games that are tight games on the road, which I guess is a good sign early on for the Lakers. But wow, talking about the Clippers in LA. I mean, Pat, you, Frank, and I, you guys are probably a little too young to remember what the Clippers were. They were bad. I'm talking about back in the 90s, late 80s, the Loy Vaught Clippers, the Danny Manning Clippers. You know what I'm saying, Pat? I mean, talking about the Clippers as being like a potential powerhouse in the NBA to me is just crazy. Yeah. But that's exactly what we're dealing with right now.
I think the Clippers are going to be very interesting because I think Leonard, in my mind, right now, could be the most dominant player when he's on. I think because and youth. Nothing away from LeBron. LeBron, Mother Nature gets against LeBron somewhat. AD, I mean, the guy's a beast in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's he's going to be the future of the Lakers more than LeBron. LeBron may be able to put the pieces together, but I think AD is the future. I don't know if the Lakers get it done this year. I just think Leonard is a beast.
Oh, there's no question. And Paul George, but when Paul George is healthy, by the way, he's a top 10 player in the NBA.
Toronto didn't want to see him go.
He's not a sidekick. He's it's a situation like you talked about with Shaq and Kobe and with, Dwayne Wade and Shaq down in Miami. It's that kind of deal where, Paul George can be that. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see those LA teams. Rasar, I mean, I don't know if you're an LA fan or not as far as like either team, but
basketball, man. I'm definitely watching the Lakers and Clips. Huge Kawhi fan. I love the claw. I love the way that defense is being popularized again. And speaking of defense, LeBron's been criticized for that, but he's stepping up. I think that this whole team is like way more cohesive, and everybody thought it was crazy to get rid of Lonzo and all this other stuff and, Ingram, and they were like, oh, you're going to mess up the young core. I think they're moving in the correct direction. I love the way they're moving the ball. LeBron is playing at a level we haven't seen in years, I think.
The young core thing is overstated. That young core wasn't really good. And I'll tell you the sad part. If Toronto keeps Leonard, Toronto would have won it again this year. They didn't want him to go. I mean, they were opening up. They opened up the purse. They were going to give him the world. But the Clippers actually could be the team of LA this year.
Yeah.
How long that'll last, I don't know. Because I really believe Davis is going to be the next Kareem-style player. I mean, dominant center.
It's funny, though, Rasar mentions defense because, you remember the time back in the early 2000s where it seemed like all those Eastern Conference games were like 81-75. I don't think we're going
football,
but hey, I don't think we're going back to that because I just saw a game last night. What was it? I think it was the Rockets beat somebody. It was like 138 to like 129.
The Rockets lost that game. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was. I don't know I can't remember who they played. I know
who they played. Oh my God.
Didn't they play the Pelicans?
But it was the Pelicans.
Yeah,
it was New Orleans.
Yeah.
But we've seen a lot of games like this that have been going. And we're talking regulation. I'm seeing these scores, right? And I see 140 to 129. And I'm thinking, had to go to double overtime.
Right.
There's no way this game went.
I hate that.
Regulation time. And they're scoring 260 plus points.
Martin was 2 for 15 from downtown. I mean, come on. All these threes. Get down a little. Pound it.
2 for 15.
It's the threes and the hand check rules.
It is. It's the softening. It's a softening of the defense. You can't play D like you could.
I'd foul out in 5 minutes now.
Frank, we talked about the bad boy Pistons back in the early 90s, late 80s. Half the stuff they did, they would be kicked out of the game today for doing it.
How about the Bulls?
There's no way. Yeah. The Bulls too.
Rodman used to pound you. The Knicks.
Those Knicks Bulls games, Pat.
There were wars. There were fights. Starks. Yes. Mason. I'm not even talking Ewing.
There'd be referees with hand injuries from so many tees they'd be throwing up on the guys. You know, if that was happening today, there's no way it would have went down.
I
But
got
it
a
makes for
question
exciting
for you.
basketball. Yeah.
Could Harden handle that level of
No.
intensity?
No. Harden's overrated.
Yeah.
He's over. Harden only knows one thing: give me the ball. He positively, absolutely shoots every time. That's my problem with him. And you know what? When he was in Oklahoma, was he the man? No. I'm sorry. You have a guy like Durant, you have Westbrook together. I mean, unfortunately, they couldn't mesh, because if they could have meshed, that would have been special. When Durant went to Golden State, he meshed and everything worked out. Harden, to me, it's all about me. If you watch, he was the second leading scorer. The kid from the Ukraine scored like 40 something. He had a 40, 10 assists and 6 rebounds.
You're talking Doncic?
Yeah, 41, 6 and 10.
Yeah.
But when you look at Harden, 2 for 15 from downtown. I mean, that's not basketball. You got to move the ball around. He needs to take the ball to the hole, move it around. He has to shoot.
Yeah. I'm all about
We're
that.
joined here live in studio. Rasar joins us from the Lique, and also Cam Calloway. They've got a great show going on this Saturday, 8 o'clock downtown. It's Rasar's Bunkhouse B-Day Bash 5 that's going down. Rasar, talk to us a little bit about your music and about this show coming up this weekend.
Yeah, so this is the 5th year in a row. We celebrate my birthday. I got this band called the Lique. Actually, Frank's son Sean is in it, and it's 4 guys that all graduated from UNLV. They're in the music program. All of them from they're all jazz guys, and so our
real
band,
music.
yeah. Well, hey, I'm telling you, man, these guys they put me to the test every time. So it's a mixture of things. It's jazz, funk, hip hop, and also we got some soul in there. That's why we got Cam Calloway there. The way I would describe Cam Calloway is like a mixture of Alan Stone meets Al Green. Just
nice.
deep, rich soul. I mean, the guy can do everything from Sam Cooke all the way up to whoever's hot today. Bruno Mars. He can do anything. And then our thing, and then we got another guy named Spectrum who's going to be opening, and that guy's like really deep and powerful. It's just amazing to see the way he engages. So actually, this Saturday, this is a crazy show. The Lique has been fortunate enough to play Life is Beautiful. We've played Brooklyn Bowl. We've played so many different things out here. But this show at Bunkhouse is always our favorite one. It's the only place I've ever done stage diving or crowd surfing. So it's always a lot of fun. Yeah, we get crazy out there.
Yeah, because I haven't actually been to this to where you're having this at. So it's not really like, is it like a bar situation, or what's the setup? What do we got going on?
It's a bar. It's a part of the whole downtown project. Shout out to Tony Shea, who has definitely revitalized that whole area, specifically 11th Street Records and all that stuff. So it's an area that's seen a lot of turnaround in the last like 5 years. And the Bunkhouse, they have a lot of legendary people. Just the other day, they had one of the members from A Tribe Called Quest out there, and there's local. He's not even local. World-renowned.
Hold on. I'm a Tribe Called Quest guy. I graduated college in 1993. We had Tribe at my school
wait a minute.
in concert. I played hoops with both Q-Tip and Rest in Peace.
No way.
Yeah, and with both those guys, they are awesome. So I'm a huge Tribe Called Quest fan. I'm a huge hip hop fan myself.
You played basketball in Fife, dog? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Rest in peace, Fife.
Yeah.
And also Q-Tip too. Q-Tip's actually a little bit better than Fife. Fife's kind of short, so he's got
money.
He had a little game though. So Cam, your perspective on this show coming up on Saturday. What you have to be looking forward to this.
I look forward to it every year, man. It's my favorite show to play because it's an opportunity for us to just kind of. We do everything separately throughout the year, but at the end of the year, we get together and kind of it's a party.
Yeah.
And so I'm always looking forward to playing with the Lique, and we collaborate on music too. And I'm looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be fun.
Are you a Vegas local as well?
I am. Yes.
So you guys are born and raised in Vegas, grew up in Vegas, basically, or
I was born in Long Beach, but we moved here in '92.
Okay, so you were really young then when you moved out here, and so you're. Originally, are you West Coast guy? Or you?
Yeah, I'm from Sacramento.
Okay, awesome. So you're Sacktown guy.
Yeah.
So talk about the music scene here in Vegas, because I think Vegas, from a music standpoint, I immediately comes to my mind as someone who listens to all types of music.
Right.
I have favorite bands in a lot of genres, but immediately when I think of Vegas, what do I think of? I think of the Killers, right? I think of Panic at the Disco, groups like that.
Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons.
Right.
But it's a music scene, I believe, I got to believe is burgeoning, in many different types of genres and eras and categories.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could just list off right here. Obviously, we got my band, the Lique, Cam Calloway. There's Mike Xavier. There's Echo. There's Kaylee Foster. We got the legendary Ronnie Foster, who's still performing out here. I mean, that guy. That little bit of Tribe Called Quest trivia there for if you look him up. But I mean, Halsey Hawkins. Who else? What's her name's on The Voice right now? Homegirl.
Local Las Vegas
Kara
girls
Brown.
on The Voice.
Kara Brown.
Okay, yeah.
She's one of the best singers.
We got Sonia Barcelona.
Yes.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Durango.
Okay. Just wonder, because my daughter went to the academy.
LVA.
She sings, LVA.
Okay.
A lot of talent comes out of LVA, man.
Yeah.
And they put on some shows. How big a venue?
It's about 250. It's an intimate place.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna sell it out, huh?
Oh, man, we're gonna have a good time. I tell you that.
As you should, because downtown. Look, downtown is just improving on a daily basis. I mean, not just the music venues, but like all the restaurants and bars down there, and they've done a tremendous job as trying to get more people down there as opposed to out on the Strip. Which is obviously gets a ton of attention here in Las Vegas, but there's a lot of good spots down there.
I take people down there every time, whenever because we all, as people that live in Las Vegas, we always have people that visit because they're coming through for whatever reason. I always take them downtown, take them to Fremont, let them see the Fremont Street experience. I take them to 11th Street Records. I take them to. There's so many cool places. In fact, Cameron and I, there was a place called The Beat right there at Emergency Arts right there, and that's where we met at this open mic called The Human Experience. That was a life-changing event. I came in here as a part of something called Vegas Nocturne at Rose Rabbit Lie at the Cosmopolitan. And then I found out about like the actual scene. I was working with all these circus people from around the world, and then I found out about the actual music and poetry scene through going. So I mean, the downtown thing, there's a whole other world that people should really know about. And what I also love, I'll say quickly here, is shout out to Dan Reynolds, Imagine Dragons in general. They always stay in touch with the actual music scene, and they come around to events. The Killers have come through to shows before. Low key, they don't announce it. I think they actually played the Bunkhouse after they did one of the first T-Mobile shows. So that's one thing I love about Vegas, is that you can still be next to the living legends, and they'll be next to the people like me that you've never heard of. And I think it's really cool that we have that sort of community.
Rasar from the Lique joining us here live in studio, as well as Cam Calloway. They're playing, of course, Rasar's Bunkhouse Birthday Bash 5 at 8 o'clock downtown on Saturday. So if you got a chance and you're free, get out there and check those guys out. Now, both of you got to hit you up on your influences, okay? Because being in the music, it's who are the guys, both Cam and Rasar, that you guys look up to, and that you guys kind of were just people that you looked up to in music?
I'll go first. My heart's always Motown. It's Stevie Wonder. It's just the Sam Cooke, a lot of Marvin Gaye, a lot of older soul music.
Thank you. My time.
I can get your time. Hey, I happen to be a Michigan native over here, so
okay,
I can get with that.
Yeah, but you're too young for the '60s, buddy. You're too young.
Hey, my old man had the record player out, man. Come on now.
I had stereo. We had stereos, man.
All the Motown music was just, it was all over the place in my house. Rasar, who are the guys you looked up to?
Honestly, Motown I think is very important. I just went back and listened to album number 3 of the Jackson 5, which was one of the ones I raised up on. I would say, because I'm hip hop, my deepest influences, Tupac's a big influence for me. Nas. There's so many people. You gotta understand, I'm kind of obsessed with it. I actually have this event, I'll say really quickly. I have this thing called the Vinyl Say that we do downtown at the Writer's Block, which is a bookstore. And I do it every first Friday, and I literally break down classic hip hop albums. I mean, we did Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly, Mos Def, Black on Both Sides. We're gonna do Common, Like Water for Chocolate, and every month I talk about a classic hip hop album, and then I do a Q&A. So I could be here for hours talking about. But I will say with the Lique, it was actually Sean's idea to start our band. And the way he sold me on this band was, he said, yeah, I'm looking to start like a jazz-based hip-hop band. It's kind of like a Tribe Called Quest. I was like, I'm in.
Nice.
So yeah.
What instrumentals do you play?
From the Lique. Also, Cam Calloway joining us here live in studio. Rasar's Bunkhouse Birthday Bash 5. It's going down this weekend, Saturday, after your Thanksgiving, so you can get your Thanksgiving dinner in and go down and check those guys out.
Work off the calories.
Guys, this sucks. We have to end the show. We're done. But we really appreciate you guys coming in on a Monday and have a great Thanksgiving and have a great
for
weekend.
having us
so
All right,
much.
yeah. This is the Vegas Take. I'm Chris Wynn. I've been in for Brian Shapiro, along with Pat Casal. We'll be back tomorrow. That's
Yes,
okay,
we will.
though, as we got 3 more hours to bounce around everything when it comes to politics, entertainment, and sports. So
This is
until
the best hour.
Yeah, it's about 21 hours away. We'll join you once again. Thanks to our guest, Amee Vanderpool. Also, thanks to Nate Hawkins, as well as Caleb Herring, who joined us from UNLV. For Brian Shapiro and J.D. Sharp, for Pat Casal, and for Johnny, I'm Chris Wynn saying have a great Monday, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
God bless.
Do you know that mortgage rates have plummeted to a 3-year low and are nearing historic lows?